Diana climbed the stairs to her fourth-floor apartment, massaging her tired shoulders. The day had been especially grueling. 4 hours at the accounting firm in the morning, followed immediately by her second job at the office supply store. She usually got home around 8 p.m., but today her manager had let her go early because there were no customers. The keys jingled in the lock, quieter than usual. Diana tried to be silent, in case Sonia was already asleep. Her 5-year-old daughter was the only joy in her life, a life filled with endless work and exhaustion. The entryway greeted her with an unusual silence. Normally at this time, Andrew would be watching TV or sitting at the computer. Maybe he finally went to a job interview, she thought. Over the past 6 months, he had promised to find a job at least 20 times, but there was always an excuse. The pay was too low, the hours were inconvenient, the boss seemed unpleasant. Diana took off her shoes and went into the kitchen. On the table were unwashed dishes and an empty package of the expensive coffee she bought to last herself a week. A familiar wave of irritation washed over her, but she quickly suppressed it. This wasn't the time for a fight. She needed to check if Sonia had eaten. The child's room was empty. The bed was made, the toys neatly arranged. Clearly, Sonia was visiting someone, probably her friend from kindergarten, as was often the case. Andrew sometimes took their daughter to her friend's house, so she wouldn't bother him while he was looking for work. Strange sounds came from the bedroom, muffled laughter, the rustle of clothes. Diana frowned. Maybe Andrew was watching a movie? She headed toward the bedroom, thinking it would be nice to have dinner together and discuss their plans for the weekend. The door was slightly ajar. Diana pushed it open and froze. On their marital bed, amidst the pristine white linens she washed and ironed every Sunday, lay her husband. He wasn't alone. Writhing next to him was a young, red-haired girl with long, fuchsia-colored acrylic nails. Time stood still. Her mind couldn't process what she was seeing. Andrew, her husband, Sonia's father, the man for whom she had worked herself to the bone for the last 6 years, was betraying her in their own bed. "You son of a bitch!" A hoarse scream tore from her chest. "While I'm working 2 jobs to provide for our family, you're cheating on me?" The couple on the bed flinched and turned sharply. Andrew's face twisted not with shame or remorse, but with annoyance at being caught. The girl shrieked and hastily started pulling on her dress. "Diana, it's not what you think," Andrew began, not even trying to cover himself. "We were just what?" Diana's voice trembled with rage. "Just happened to be naked in my bed by accident." "Oh, for God's sake, stop shouting." Andrew got out of bed, brazenly looking his wife over. "It's your own fault. When was the last time you looked like a woman? Always tired, worn out, only thinking about work." Diana felt the ground give way beneath her. He was blaming her. "Christina, get dressed quickly." Andrew snapped at the redhead. "The hysterics are about to start." "Christina." Diana vaguely recognized the name of the manicurist from the salon where she sometimes got her nails done. "That little girl from the beauty and health salon?" "I'm 22, for your information," Christina retorted, zipping up her dress. "And I know how to appreciate a man, not just count money." "Get out of my house." Diana took a step forward, and the girl instinctively backed away. "Your house?" Andrew sneered. "We're married, darling. By law, half of everything belongs to me. How dare you?" "I dare." Andrew raised his voice. "For 6 years, I've put up with your tediousness. Your constantly dissatisfied face, the complaints, the whining about money. But Christina, she's vibrant, fun. She knows how to enjoy life." "Enjoy it with my money," Diana screamed. "Who pays for this apartment? Who buys the food? The clothes? Who pays for kindergarten?" "So what?" Andrew shrugged. "I'm looking for a job. It's not my fault the job market is in a crisis." Diana looked at her husband and didn't recognize him. This arrogant, shameless man was the person she had married, the one who had sworn love and fidelity, the one for whom she had turned down a proposal from another man, a successful lawyer and a friend of her father's. "Where's Sonia?" she asked suddenly. "At your parents' place. I took her to her grandfather this morning." I told him we wanted some time alone. That was the last straw. He had used their child to arrange a rendezvous with his mistress in their family bed. Get out, Diana hissed. Both of you. Immediately. Oh, come on. Andrew started to dress without any hurry. Christina, go wait in the car. I'll be right there. The girl hastily gathered her things and darted out of the bedroom, casting a contemptuous glance at Diana. The front door slammed. I'm sorry you're taking this so hard, Andrew said, buttoning his shirt. But I have a right to be happy, and I'm not going to spend my whole life pretending our marriage is normal. Pretending? Diana took another step toward him. I've put my whole life into this marriage. I work like a dog to what? To support me, Andrew smirked. I didn't ask you to. If you don't like it, divorce me. You'll get your freedom, and I'll get child support and half the assets. He said it with such cold confidence that Diana realized he had calculated everything in advance. He had been preparing for this conversation for months, maybe even years. You planned all of this, she whispered. Did you think I was an idiot? Andrew picked up his watch and cell phone from the dresser. I'm 32 years old, I'm still young. And Christina has plans for her own beauty salon. We want to start a new life. With my money. With our joint savings, she corrected him. By law, I have the right to half of everything acquired during the marriage, including your share in the country house cooperative and your savings accounts. Diana felt everything inside her shatter. This man had not only deceived her, but he was also planning to rob her. To leave her and Sonia with nothing after 6 years of marriage. I know your rights, she said quietly. But you've forgotten one little detail. What's that? Andrew turned to her with a mocking smile. My father is a judge. The smile slowly faded from Andrew's face. Viktor Morozov, a distinguished judge of the regional court, a man with an impeccable reputation and 30 years of experience. The one who had always been against this marriage and had warned his daughter that Andrew was not a man she could rely on. So what? Andrew tried to maintain his confidence. He can't influence the court's decision. There's the law. The law? Yes. But there are many other interesting things. Diana felt a cold flame ignite in her chest. For example, where does an unemployed man get the money for expensive coffee, restaurants with his mistress, and gifts for her? Andrew's face changed. I do odd jobs sometimes. Odd jobs? Diana sneered. And do you pay taxes on those odd jobs? Or did you think I wouldn't notice money disappearing from the house? Andrew was silent, but from his expression, Diana knew she had hit the mark. Get out, she said calmly, and don't come back. You can't kick me out. This is my home too. We'll see. Andrew wanted to say something else, but he looked into his wife's eyes and changed his mind. There was something in them that made him grab his jacket and head for the door. I'll be back for my things. He threw over his shoulder. I'll be waiting, Diana replied. The door slammed. Diana was left alone in the apartment that, just an hour ago, had felt like a home and had now turned into a battlefield. She went into the bedroom, ripped the sheets off the bed, and threw them into the washing machine. Then she sat down in the kitchen and took out her phone. Dad. Her voice trembled. I need your help. Viktor Morozov listened to his daughter in silence, and with every word she spoke, his face grew harder. 40 years on the bench had taught him to control his emotions, but now a real fire blazed in the depths of his gray eyes. Dad, are you there? Diana's voice quavered on the line. I'm here, sweetheart. Sonia's asleep, don't worry. You gather all the documents you have. Bank statements, receipts, income statements. Come to my place tomorrow morning. But Dad, I have to go to work. Tomorrow is Saturday, and your war with this person is more important than any job. He wanted to play a big game. He'll get one. Diana went to sleep in the living room, unable to return to the bedroom. Sleep wouldn't come. The day's events, Andrew's words, his arrogant certainty that he was entitled to half of everything, replayed in her mind. In the morning, she gathered all the documents she could find, pay stubs, bank statements, the deed to the apartment her father had given her as a wedding gift. To her surprise, She found several receipts from expensive stores in Andrew's name. Apparently, he had been buying gifts for Christina and had forgotten to hide the evidence. Her father met her in his home office. Victor looked as impeccable as ever, trim and dressed in a sharp suit. His gray hair was neatly combed, but his eyes were as cold as ice. "Tell me everything in detail," he said, turning on a voice recorder. "Every little thing." Diana told him. Her father asked clarifying questions, making notes in a pad. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair and looked at the documents. "The apartment was registered in your name before the marriage." "That's good. The car is also yours. The country house is more interesting. That's joint property. But I remember how we bought it. I have all the documents showing that I transferred the money to your account." "And what does that mean?" "It means that those funds are not jointly acquired property, but a gift from a parent. Consequently, Andrew's share in the country house can be reconsidered." For the first time in 24 hours, Diana felt a sense of relief. "And these receipts are very interesting," her father continued, sorting through the papers. "A jewelry store, expensive cosmetics, flowers, totaling about 100,000 rubles in the last 3 months. And this is while he's officially unemployed. He said he was doing odd jobs. Then he should have filed a tax return and paid taxes. Did he?" Diana shook her head. "There's the first violation. Tax evasion." Victor picked up the phone. "Hello, Michael. It's Morozov. I have a case for you." Half an hour later, he ended the call and turned to his daughter. "Tomorrow, your husband will receive a visit from the tax inspectorate. For starters. And now let's go see your Aunt Ludmila." Ludmila Petrovna worked at the property registration office and was Diana's mother's older sister. Her aunt greeted them warily, clearly sensing something was wrong from her brother-in-law's demeanor. "Luda, I need your help," Victor said without preamble. "I need you to check all real estate transactions in Andrew's name for the last 2 years." "Victor, what happened?" "He's cheating on Diana and plans to take everything she's earned." Aunt Ludmila's face darkened. She adored her niece and had always considered Andrew unworthy of her. "Give me his passport details. I'll have the full information by this evening." By evening, Victor had the complete picture. Andrew had indeed been concealing income for the past year. He had received around 400,000 rubles in cash from various people. Furthermore, it turned out that a lease for a small salon space was registered to Christina, and the security deposit of 200,000 rubles had been paid in cash. "Where would an unemployed man get that kind of money?" her father asked Diana. "I don't know." "Wait. Remember the gold jewelry my mother left me? The chains, rings, a bracelet." "I remember. They were worth quite a bit. I haven't seen them in 6 months. I thought I'd put them somewhere else." Victor smirked, but not cheerfully. "So, we can add theft to the list." "Good. Very good." The next day, Andrew did indeed show up for his things. He came with 2 friends, apparently deciding to play it safe. Diana met them calmly, even offering tea. "No need to pretend," Andrew grumbled, walking into the bedroom. "Just let me get my stuff and we won't bother you again." "What about the divorce?" Diana asked. "When are we filing?" "Next week. And I'm warning you now, I'll be demanding my share of all the property." "Of course. And I'll be demanding child support for Sonia." "Child support?" Andrew stopped in the middle of the room. "From what salary?" "I'm not officially employed. But you do odd jobs and quite well, judging by what you spend on gifts for Christina." Andrew's face changed. "How do you know about the gifts?" "The receipts were in your pocket. I found them when I washed your jacket." Andrew quickly finished packing and headed for the exit. At the door, he turned. "Don't think I'm scared of your daddy the judge. The law is on my side." "We'll see," Diana answered calmly. A week later, things got interesting. Andrew received a visit from the tax service, then from the Economic Security Department. It turned out that he had not only been hiding income but had also been working without the proper licenses, providing legal consultations without being a licensed lawyer. Victor didn't interfere in the process directly. He simply sent the right information to the right addresses, and from there, the law took its course. But the most terrifying discovery was yet to come. Aunt Ludmila found another piece of interesting information. 2 months before the confrontation, Andrew had applied for a loan secured by Diana's apartment. Fortunately, the loan wasn't approved due to a lack of income verification. "He wanted to mortgage my home." Diana was in shock. "He wanted to. And if he had succeeded, you would have only found out when the bailiff showed up," her father said grimly. "But he miscalculated. The apartment was registered to you before the marriage, and he had no right to mortgage it without your consent." The divorce proceedings began a month later. By this time, Victor had a complete file on his son-in-law. Andrew came to court with a lawyer, demanding half of all assets. "Your Honor," his lawyer argued, "my client has a legal right to half of the jointly acquired property, including the apartment, the country house, and the car." "Any objections?" the judge asked Diana's lawyer. "Yes, Your Honor." Victor rose from his seat. He was representing his daughter personally. "First, the apartment was gifted to the defendant before the marriage and is not jointly acquired property. Second, the car also belonged to the defendant before the marriage. Third, the funds for the purchase of the country house were given to the defendant by her father as a gift, which is confirmed by bank documents." Andrew's lawyer tried to object, but Victor was prepared for any argument. "Furthermore," he continued, "the plaintiff systematically concealed his income and did not contribute to the family budget, spending his earnings on gifts for another woman. We have receipts totaling over 300,000 rubles. And," he added, pulling out a new folder, "the plaintiff, without his wife's knowledge, attempted to mortgage her apartment, which constitutes fraudulent activity." Andrew's face turned gray. The trial didn't last long. Andrew received nothing except an obligation to pay child support amounting to 25% of all his income, including the hidden earnings. But that wasn't all. A month later, the police came for Andrew. It turned out that Christina, on whom he had spent so much money, was married. Her husband, a well-known local businessman with a complicated past, didn't cause a scene when he found out about his wife's lover. He simply passed all the information to the right people. Andrew was arrested for fraud and tax evasion. Christina left him even before the trial, running back to her husband to confess. Diana learned about her ex-husband's arrest from her father. She was sitting in his office, feeding Sonia ice cream. "How long do you think he'll be in for?" she asked. 2 or 3 years. "Maybe more if they find anything else," Victor replied. "Do you feel sorry for him?" Diana looked at her daughter, who was laughing, her cheeks smeared with chocolate ice cream. Then she looked at her father, who, for her sake, had waged a war, with the law on the side of justice. "No," she said firmly. "I only regret the years I wasted on him." A year later, Diana enrolled in the correspondence program at the law faculty. Her father was thrilled. He had always dreamed she would follow in his footsteps. A year after that, Alex came into their lives. He was a colleague of her father's, an honest and decent man who immediately hit it off with Sonia and had never made Diana feel indebted to him for his kindness. Andrew was released after 2.5 years. By then, Diana was in her 3rd year of university, working as a paralegal for her father, and was happier than ever. Sonia called Alex Dad and didn't even remember her biological father. Her ex-husband made no attempt to see his daughter or demand visitation. He got a job as a loader at a warehouse, rented a room in a communal apartment, and dutifully paid child support under the supervision of court bailiffs. Sometimes, Diana would see him on the street. He looked older, stooped, with dull eyes. He would quickly turn away and walk off, never trying to speak. Justice had prevailed, even if it took time. And Diana understood the most important thing: you must never tolerate betrayal and humiliation, not even for the sake of family. Every person has a right to dignity and happiness, and sometimes you have to fight for that right.